Before we start this video, I want to say a huge thank you to my current Patreons: Ash, Zolty Tesla Chad, Doggo Portal, James, Your Player 2, Owen Harper, and Not Another Game Collector. If you want to get your name called out, and of course if you want to join the Patreon team to support this channel, it's entirely up to you. There is a link down below, and if not, I just hope you enjoy this video. No one would have believed that there is a possibility for sound waves that are emitted from speakers into our ears could create worlds and stories that we could almost smell, see and taste. Well, at least for me at a very young age, I didn't believe that would be possible. Music plays a huge role in so many people's lives. We all feel a bond with the tempos that we bob our head alongs with, or the rhythms that we've all danced to in the showers. But many of us can't pinpoint the moment that music became more just a passing tone, but instead a story that we're willing to explore. I can honestly tell you where my fascination with music came from, but for me to tell that story, we're gonna have to go right to the end of the world. When you hear this bass line, what do you see? What do you hear? Now, of course, context is key in this example. This is from the 1977 Jeff Wayne's musical version of War of the Worlds. In this scene, our narrator and other humans are gathered in a steaming hot pit around a Martian steel capsule, bunched and huddled in anticipation of whatever this thing may do next. Is it sentient? Is it peaceful? Will they attack us? At a young age, my dad introduced the War of the World musical to us, me and my sister, and ever since then we've been die-hard fans for it. We've even seen it live. But taking you back in time, maybe 2005 to 2007, we used to take really long drives from London to Yorkshire, which could easily, depending on the traffic, take about 9 hours. So it became a tradition for our dad to play music and throw trivia at us like we're meant to understand questions from the 80s. But on one journey, we were introduced to it, War of the Worlds, and that's when our tradition began. Now let me set a familiar scene for you. I was staring wishfully and daydreaming out of a darkened window on an evening journey, the foreboding trees at the side of the car whizzing past, all being turned into shadowy figures from the speed of the car. And that image alone often gave me chills, like something was about to attack or come from the shadows, and I often felt very alone in the back seat of a cold car during the winter drives. And then I heard it, that bass line. Chills filled my spine to a ceaseless sense of terror. But how? How could a song fill me with any other emotion other than joy? And in that moment, that's how this musical became more than any other song for a long journey. It became an integral part for my love of not just music, but stories that are told within music. Everything changed after that moment. Everywhere I looked, there was an emotion, a feeling with every single musical sound. It also helps to have a dad who is both a DJ and a drummer, and of course introduced me and my sister to a world of hip hop, electro, rock, and whatever else you could ask for. At an early age, our wonderful dad has surrounded our life with music and has played a huge part in our lives. From being the only kid at the age of 10 in 2005 in a classroom full of kids with a Run DMC CD that my dad had made for me because I fell in love with the rap genre, and of course through that I discovered Eminem, Tupac, Biggie Smalls, and even just explored so many more territories of music, and eventually finding my favourite song of all time, Hotel California by the Eagles. The Eagles' 1976 masterpiece Hotel California opened a gateway to an emotion with music for me. To start to finish, I've always had the same storyboard and characters play out in my head whenever I hear the iconic riff of that song. Hotel California is my ultimate escape of music. It allows me to run to a different moment in time that is full of fear and wonder, all in one brilliant package, and it tells a story so beautifully with both its instrumental and its lyrics, and it's just so iconic and beautiful to listen to. That's why I love video games. Gaming is able to provide everything I want in a narrative, escape into a world that I'm free to explore, visual story-driven adventures, and of course the scores of so many fantastic and iconic games that we all grew up with. Now, when you hear this very much like that bass line from War of the Worlds, what comes to mind? Resident Evil's graphical style, the countless times you was forced to backtrack through these haunting halls, or maybe the reveal of one of the most iconic zombies in gaming history. For me, this music comes with all that and more. Isolation. The halls of Resident Evil 1 were given a feeling and texture for my emotions and enabled the music of the Resident Evil franchise to become a way for us to create stories in these residents of evil. I believe that Resident Evil 2 is a great example of this. The score overall was entirely dialed down to avoid the campy gothic horror that Resident Evil once wanted to identify with, but now instead leaving behind the iconic scores of the gothic era of Resident Evil and leaving room for something that felt unfamiliar. I adore the atmosphere of the new Resident Evil games. It allows the horror to linger in the darkest corners and creating a sense of dread with every single room, making you feel like each time you come back or even to a new location in the police station, there is something new, wandering, lurking and uninvited. But now listen to the same scenario with the original soundtrack. Immediately there is a layer of character and story set pieces sprinkled within the first floor. That's unlike anything that the Resident Evil remake score could offer. Not that the remake score is bad, but it's definitely unfamiliar with these locations. The gentle keys of the pianos inviting you into a sense of false security, and then followed by a slamming door within that track. These tell you immediately you're not alone in these halls. The original Resident Evil 2 first floor score can paint a picture of these halls from its score alone, and that's the beauty of an original Resident Evil score. They bleed with so much story, texture, horror, but also serenity. Now I know this video wasn't very long and it didn't need to be, but I just wanted to take a moment and say thank you to my dad, who I know is probably watching this right now. You brought so much art into my world, from gaming, films and of course music, and everything I do and create and fell in love with of course falls back into the influence that my dad had on me and my sister as people and as creators. Thank you, Dad. Thank you for supporting this channel from day one and allowing me to grow and express myself every single day, making me fall in love with the music you brought into my life and making me realise that the chances of anything telling a story is always one song away. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to subscribe, and why not leave a like down below. And of course, not all videos are going to be like this, but this is just more of a personal love there. I enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you at the next checkpoints. Goodbye.